To be continued. Welcome to the Liberty Ukraine channel. Thank you for watching us, for liking us, writing comments, and sharing our videos. Our guest today is Denis Alekseyev, a businessman who actively runs a political blog. Denis, welcome to you.
Hello, Tatiana.
Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and also to Denis Alekseyevich's channel as well. And now, let's talk about the negotiation process that is currently ongoing. And in Russian media, there is information spreading that the agreements supposedly made between Trump and Putin in Anchorage are being violated by Trump. Ushakov says Trump was expected to fulfill the framework agreements and pressure Ukraine, but he isn't doing so. In that case, what should be done? They need to fight. They need to continue military pressure in order to force Ukraine to agree to these deals, to these agreements. Do you see that Trump is really not violating any agreements, not failing to fulfill something? Or is this just something the Russians made up because we don't really know what was agreed upon in Anchorage? What do you think?
Look, the situation is such that Russia is acting the same way it always has. And now they're putting pressure on Trump. What is this all about? The focus is on pressuring Zelensky, not Ukraine itself. According to the Russians, Trump is, let's say, not putting enough pressure on Zelensky right now, since there's literally just one last step left in the negotiations. And they're being delayed because things are happening the way they are right now. So what's the situation for Russia at the moment? If they keep fighting, they should leave the negotiations and consider their next steps. But the situation is really close to peace, and it's not beneficial for Russia right now. There are certain processes in its economy that are disadvantageous during such a sluggish process. So they either need to fight for sure and decide to leave the negotiations, or truly come to an agreement. No one is going to truly negotiate with Zelensky in the format that Zelensky wants. And now President Trump has to solve this puzzle.
Do you think the murder of Volodymyr Alekseyev, which happened on February 6, somehow affects the negotiation process? We don't know the details yet, but if we found them out, would it somehow affect the negotiations or not at all?
Is he the general?
GRU, yes, he's already left.
He even regained consciousness.
Yesterday, I saw that he was attacked and he was shot.
Yes, but he survived and regained consciousness. No, it doesn't affect the negotiations in any way. There's a war going on, you know. It's just like saying, well, it definitely doesn't help the negotiations if it's proven that it's Ukraine. It doesn't help. But they are shelling, for example, our energy infrastructure. This is war. This is war.
Against the backdrop of this war, there is talk about the Munich Security Conference. Zelensky said that Ukraine will definitely be present there, along with about 50 representatives from other countries. They will also talk about security guarantees for Ukraine, including how to supply Ukraine with aircraft and other weapons. What do you think? Will this lead to any security guarantees for Ukraine or not?
No, nothing will change at the Munich conference. Right now, the world is in such a situation that everyone is thinking about themselves. Europe is practically going crazy in some respects. And at the moment, everyone is just concerned about themselves. Let's be honest, JD Vance is not liked in Europe, just like Europeans don't like Trump. You see, who's going to give how many helicopters and planes to whom? As Zelensky says, these are all technicalities, there are fundamental issues. Even if tomorrow they offer 500 planes and 500 helicopters, Zelensky will still say, I'm not leaving Donbass. Do you understand the situation? There are political decisions and then there are technical ones. I'm in favor of not focusing on technical issues until there are political agreements.
Regarding political agreements, the discussion goes further to say that Ukraine must definitely be included in the European Union. We have to become a member of the European Union. Zelensky emphasizes that this is one of the security guarantees. On the other hand, we see that the European Union is offering Ukraine conditions that seem to be of a secondary sort, meaning we cannot be a full member. But the European Union is also putting forward conditions that we have to agree to. On one hand, there is democratic reform, judicial reform. We have to show that we have democracy. What do you think? How is this government doing? Zelensky, in particular, plans to demonstrate this to Europe as part of Ukraine's inclusion in the European Union.
No, there will be no European Union membership for Ukraine. As for these half measures, there was a time when European Union membership without voting rights, a sort of limited membership, was being considered, but now it's no longer being discussed. They just need to give Zelensky something to promote during the elections. Partial membership? Not exactly, but something similar. I'll explain why someone besides Zelensky might want this. Unfortunately, to my great regret, Ukraine has been turned over all these years into a pit for theft and money laundering. And here's the point of any so-called membership. Money will come here earlier, it will be stolen, and then they'll be denied. That's what some kind of membership is for. What is membership? Look, let's think about it. Why do people need membership? People need membership so that everyone can open a bank account, study, live in Europe without time or term limits, and participate in various programs from Europe. That is, to be like a full-fledged citizen of the European Union, to be protected, because a European Union citizen has legal rights. These are the visa-free things, even with other countries like you. Well, in short, there are a lot of nuances, and none of that is present here. You see, it's just not there. This is pure politics, pure politics. Once again, I want to tell you, Zelensky wants something he can take to the elections. But a person under whom 5 people kill another Ukrainian, guys, you've seen those terrible cases where 5 of them beat someone to death, or 6 of them, the way these TCC guys act. In court, they say it's all quiet now. The person was already beaten when we saw him. Well, I mean, when the country was turned into something like this, it's just some kind of nightmare, just non-stop, when some fascist groups walk the streets, when there's hatred among the people towards each other and everyone towards everyone. Such a president cannot win. And moreover, I'll tell you, right now they're publishing ratings there. I don't know if you were going to ask about it or not. Those ratings, this party, that party, it's all supposed ratings, supposed parties. Half of those parties don't even exist in reality. You see, a person with militant rhetoric can't win right now. It would just finish Ukraine off.
We really don't know how people will feel about the military, about those who will want to become president. But from what we see in the news and read, and often the servicemen themselves are searching too, the State Bureau of Investigation revealed a corruption scheme that was behind the theft of food for the armed forces of Ukraine. What is this about? Rotten fruits and vegetables were supplied to the armed forces of Ukraine, and some were reportedly discarded. They made soup, baked something, and put it in salads in this condition, serving this food to the soldiers. Because 1 million hryvnias was laundered through a corruption scheme every week, we still don't know the extent of the damage caused to the state. But what's important is that the main figure in this scheme was a major of the Ukrainian air assault forces. That's what's concerning him. Tell me, how can you comment on this?
This is a multifaceted question. First of all, we shouldn't say or think that all military personnel are perfect. They are just like everyone else, with both good and bad people among them. Second, when some part of our society, our people, tries to say that we are special, that we are fantastic, that everyone should love and adore us, that we are so amazing, no, we are not amazing. We have scoundrels who steal food from soldiers during the war. You see, I don't find anything admirable about this, and we just need to understand that in reality we have a lot of problems. And we're not great or perfect yet, but that doesn't mean we can't become that. And to become that, there are specific steps that need to be taken. There are a huge number of steps, but nobody talks about that. Pay attention to the main thing. There's no public discussion anywhere. So, some attack others in absentia. Those attack others in absentia. Some label others as pro-Russian or something else. All in absentia. The point is, where's the constructive discussion? And another question, even if there's no constructive discussion, do people even want it? That's the question I ask myself.
If you read the comments people write to us, I hope they'll write some today too. You can see that people do want it. People want a normal life. I can't say it's about justice, honesty, or decency. People just want to live a normal life. But if we continue talking about these supplies, what should we do now? We can't wait for reforms for a year, 2 or 3, because soldiers need to eat now. They need something to eat right now. In your opinion, should there be some kind of independent group of auditors? Should it include public figures or just regular people? Or how can we provide food supplies to the military right now?
I'll tell you, the military should be able to come home. The war should end. The military should be able to come home. Go buy groceries for yourself so that no one steals anything. Cook and eat like that. That's how it should be. Or even better, have the opportunity to go to a cafe. A soldier who fought deserves financial support. That's my point, and that's how it should be. The war must end, along with all these public figures, commissions, and councils you mentioned. This is a classic tactic inside Ukraine. How to talk any issue to death. Well, really, how to make it downright ridiculous. Now, I'm watching this, you're talking about this issue, but I can't say it's minor, it's just immoral, specifically. Some cases generate even more public attention, like Vahanyan testifying against Bakanov, the ex-security service of Ukraine chief and Zelensky's friend. And there's a commission, as you say, this commission. Who's on this commission? Alexei Goncharenko. I see Nalivachenko sitting next to him. Alexei Goncharenko has been in politics for 16 years, but Valentin Nalivachenko has been in politics since I was in diapers. And he was the head of the security service of Ukraine after Maidan. I didn't see anything from him as the head of the security service of Ukraine. He just came in and served the current administration. Yes, he seems reasonably intelligent. I mean, he's not just some random guy. You know, Bechara, let's not mention any last names. He's an intelligent person, a neat man. But as a professional in his position, did he actually do anything? No, excuse me, but the position of head of the security service of Ukraine is a big deal, isn't it? So all of this is pointless, all these commissions, none of it works, you see. It's not a matter of let's control something, that's not the issue here. The one who knows what to do, the one whom the people truly trust knows, not just someone who claims to know everything. Now you see, after what I said, some unexpected people have become active, well, both expected and unexpected. For example, Alexei Goncharenko, we already discussed him, has become active today. Now, Leros is starting, how should I put it, starting to come back.
Dear Ukrainians, what wonderful words, improving competitive conditions. Sorry, but what the hell kind of competitive conditions can there be? When everything was divided into two parts by Mr. Yermak and Mr. Zelensky, Zelensky has a sort of frontman, Mr. Mindich, to whom he registered all his assets and everything stolen from Mr. Yermak. And there's also an oligarch, Maxim Kripa. So I have a question. What kind of competitive conditions can we even talk about? Mr. President, I have a specific question for you. Last year you said that if anyone from your inner circle was involved in corruption, you would resign. The entire president's office is thoroughly rotten with corruption. Your Yermak secretly meets with your advisors, with your ambassadors, and tries to figure out how to smooth things over with Mindich. Mr. President, what more evidence do you need to resign? Of course, all Ukrainians dream that Putin and every scumbag who set foot on Ukrainian soil would die. But just as much, Mr. President, every Ukrainian dreams that after you, a principled person will come and put you and all your damn organized crime group in jail. Glory to Ukraine.
It's not all for nothing. Elections are coming soon, and Kim first said that the war needs to end. Kim said yesterday that we need to choose Volodymyr Alexandrovich. I'm sure he will be president. That's how I see it. Then Natalka Masichuk wrote a post saying that if you think I work for the office, then go to hell. Well, all of this, you look at it and it makes you sick. It's disgusting. You know why? Because I've lived almost my whole life in Ukraine and I would still be living there today. And if again, it's all the same mistakes all over again, well, then I just don't know what to do. It already looks so stupid from the outside. They're not offering anything new to people. Where are you looking? What do you believe in? Do you think a person can get up on the podium in the Verkhovna Rada? I'm for this. I'm for everyone who's against the Zelensky regime, fighting for money from the top. I don't care, but if you're not protected, you can't act like that. Alexei Goncharenko does what he does. For example, right now he's acting very brightly. I'm discussing him. He does what he does because someone allows him to do it.
How can we revive a normal discussion? Because as you say, if they take the same thing, it's impossible. It's impossible to believe. People would like to see other candidates, but these other candidates cannot join the political discussion. There's the only marathon, but no one invites them there. And you also say that it's hard for you to believe that people would choose Zelensky. But how can we reach out to others? How can we see them?
Look, they've just announced that this spring, a branch of the American Newsmax channel, Trump's favorite channel, will open in Ukraine. Let's see what happens. So, it will broadcast in 3 languages, including Russian, English, and Ukrainian. Of course, let's see which speakers they'll allow there, because I don't want to say anything in advance, but I also have some conflicting information about it. Let's see. Let's see who will invite whom and where.
I have another question for you, since you mentioned those who have experience. So let's look at what they are doing now to avoid some kind of disaster. Alexei Goncharenko has tremendous experience in energy. Our guests and people wrote bad comments about him, but what for? He advocated for the reconstruction of the energy sector and made proposals to Yulia Sverodanko and submitted requests. They simply did not respond to this. Do you think experienced people were pushed out by this government or just didn't do enough?
I'm not sure what reconstructing the energy sector means. Does it involve repairs or something else?
It means to protect and restore it, yes?
Well, that's populism, first of all. It's clear reconstruction is needed, but that's not the main issue. You mentioned experience. What experience does Alexei have? It may seem I'm criticizing him since we're discussing him so much, but what experience does he actually have? He's been in politics since he was 16, going door-to-door campaigning. He has that experience. I don't have that kind of experience, and I hope I never will, but otherwise he has no experience in anything.
Regarding food and the idea that the military could eat in restaurants, it would be good if that were the case. But Mikhailo Fedorov is now urging more people to go to the trenches, saying that there are too many military personnel in the rear right now. Logistics and headquarters are helping different units, and this is inefficient. Tasks need to be carried out on the front line. What do you think, if this happens, by what criteria will people be selected to go to the front, the rear?
You're asking questions that can't be answered clearly. They need to be divided. First, Mikhailo should wear a uniform and go to the front line, ideally as an assault trooper. And when he, has to change his diaper, maybe he wouldn't talk like that. It's very easy to discuss this and send other men, as you probably know. I know what the front is really like from stories, though I haven't been there myself. From what I've heard, it's terrifying, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, not even Fedorov. Yes, it's true that there are a lot of people in the rear. When they shout that our army is 1 million strong, actually 800,000 of them are in the rear. They're involved in logistics, working at headquarters and more. You see, in reality, there are 200,000 to 250,000 on the front lines. Maybe at the peak there were 300,000. That's the first thing. Second, of course, it can't be effective. When has the state ever been an effective manager? Do you think ruining state enterprises, not knowing how to do anything and bringing things to order, will it be any different in the army? Yes, the army can only be effective when it is professional. For example, if we had been taught by the Americans to have this kind of structure with salaries on contract, a small army, 250,000 to 300,000 at most, that would be an effective army. But when they just grab men from everywhere, one was taken by force, another can't get demobilized, another is still recovering from a wound, how can this be? When here we have Shmihal, who has changed positions 3 times during the war. Misha Fedorov is our Minister of Defense. Well, no, there are no words. You understand, we need to put an end to this and start from scratch. And here, as always, they just want to steal, patch things up with a band-aid or duct tape. Somehow this house of cards is still standing, but it's fine. We can steal, we can more and more. Nothing else interests us.
You're talking about elections. There's active preparation for the elections. We had that. Marina Stanichuk also says that there is active preparation for the elections, but she didn't answer directly whether Zelensky is preparing for the elections or not, But he said quite recently that the Americans are giving us a deadline to end the war by the beginning of summer. Then Matthew Vitaka denied this. He says that such a clear time frame was not set. What do you think? How can we prepare for the elections without ending the war yet? And then it's already June and elections and the end of the war. How will people, other candidates, come to these elections?
First of all, preparations for the elections are already actively underway inside Ukraine. Technical preparations. I know this for sure. As for how other candidates will come, that's exactly the problem. That most likely they won't come at all. That's exactly the problem. That most likely they won't come at all. President Trump's view of the elections in Ukraine is somewhat different, and Zelensky wants to play a trick. If he's suddenly forced to go to the elections, he's already prepared for them, but only in his own format, and formally he can say to Trump, well, you wanted quick elections, so we can do it quickly. That's exactly what I said on my broadcast, and I can repeat it for you. The elections will take place, but don't assume that once martial law ends, in 90 days everything will go according to the old laws. All those laws won't work. New laws will be adopted. First of all, martial law can be lifted at any moment. Secondly, it might not be lifted at all. In short, elections can be announced a week after signing the framework agreement. That's how fast everything can happen. There really are deadlines, even though Vitaka denies it. It's just phrased a bit differently. but they don't want to make this public. Moreover, what Zelensky said publicly actually played against Trump, because if you make a deal behind closed doors, only those in the negotiation groups know about it. But when Zelensky made it public, I'll explain to you why he did it. God forbid if peace can't be achieved by summer. Look, Trump promised again, and again he did nothing. So what can I say? There's not long left to wait for some kind of resolution, I assure you.
And Zelensky talks about it, but America seems to deny it. Can this be seen as real pressure from Washington on Kiev for Zelensky to agree to these conditions?
Well, it didn't sound like pressure, but pressure is already being applied. Pressure is already being applied. You see, we just can't know about it. Well, it's just not public. I told you about what happened at Mar-a-Lago. That's from people who were directly there. And then everything happens exactly the same way, but in public, of course, everyone will keep up appearances. Zelensky will behave modestly, but based on his recent speeches, I just know how to, so to speak, read between the lines and notice the details. I can see that Zelensky is currently in a very strained relationship with Trump, and there are many things Zelensky doesn't like.
Tell me, as we wrap up our conversation, how can people now, so to speak, imagine taking a sieve and sifting through this information, filtering out those candidates who are about to flood us from social networks, Telegram, and propaganda? How can we understand that these people are not who they want to appear to us as? And how can we look for a real candidate who is ready for real change?
There is a set of measures and markers here. I will try to explain in detail, very thoroughly. First, if this person has been in politics or is currently in politics, don't consider them right away. Anyone who is around politics, who is on the stage in any role, just say goodbye to them right away. Next, only a small group remains who have never been in politics. Perhaps this person is or was a media figure, but they've never held power or been involved in political parties. So consider them as right or wrong. Listen. For example, you watch Javier Milei's speech, find a translation, listen to it, and see if it's similar to what this person is offering you or not. Well, it's that simple. Be sure to study the person's background, what they've done all their life, what competencies they have, nothing or maybe something after all, and what stands behind them. A trail of corruption, crime, or another type of trail. Only in terms of professional background, not things like how many wives he had. Don't waste time on that nonsense, but focus on his professional background, at least that much. Yeah, you know, people here prefer to discuss someone's personal life and bedroom matters more than real issues or even things like appearances, what kind of suit someone is wearing, stuff like that.
Let's take Natalia Mosichuk as an example. She wrote that if you think she's getting a salary from the president's office, then no, that's not true. And she talks about the topics she raised, and we remember how she said in her interview, the security service will come knocking on everyone's door. She has been on screen for a long time and people are used to trusting her. But she will quickly find an excuse and say, well, the situation was like that back then and now it's different. So how are people supposed to distance themselves from this? Again, not to assume the risks.
First, you asked about politicians. Now you've moved on to propagandists. You see, if you worked for the Zelensky regime, you're already marked. So, for example, I can hardly imagine that Natalia could live in Ukraine, walk out in Kyiv and look people in the eye, because these are just the most despicable creatures. They're like those very capos. As I told you, in Nazi concentration camps, a member of their own people would collaborate with the administration against their own people in order to survive, to earn something, and so on. These are dishonest people. Based on my information, they're keeping her there due to family circumstances. They have compromising material on Natalia. Her son is not at the front, even though she sends others there. Well, it's just that they are the dregs of society, the lowest layer. It's like a wolf ticket when you've served the green regime. Alternatively, for example, Petr Alekseyev Poroshenko has his spokespeople serving him there. Well, these are the same cannibalistic theses, you understand, when a person in that situation didn't tell the truth. It's one thing if someone doesn't understand everything right away, that's fine. But he didn't even try to tell the truth. This is a person who sent others to the front without fighting himself, a person who advocated for war, not for peace. In the end, no matter who he supports there, Poroshenko, Zelensky, or Timoshenko, that's it. Stop right there. Just throw that out of your sight altogether.
And they say that Mikhailo Fedorov, specifically at a meeting with the European Solidarity faction, made a statement that people need to go to the front, that those in the rear need to go to the front. So the thought comes to mind that the people who say, go to the front, are being told, we need to end the war as soon as possible. Well, you probably need to think and feel intuitively, or I don't know how. What are they really for?
I don't even have anything to say to you here because you're talking about Fedorov again. Well, that's a classic example. He's a pretty typical guy. But how can you say you need to go to the front lines? Now, someone will probably write that in the comments. Well, he's the Minister of Defense, so don't go work as the Minister of Defense then. You became the Minister of Defense because in his plan, it's just another step in his future campaign. And then he'll become the head of Zelensky's election campaign headquarters if Zelensky is actually allowed to run in the elections. You see, you have to think. You really have to think.
People, I hope that by the time all this happens, you will subscribe to our channel, actively watch our guests, actively listen to them, and join our conversation, those who are opinion leaders. Please subscribe to Liberty Ukraine, subscribe to Denis Yalisevich's channel. Denis, it was nice to see you. Until next time.
Thank you.